Hey, what's up, spooky fam? Welcome to day one of Babysitter Horror Movie Review Week. We've got a long week ahead of us, but we are starting with All Hallows Eve from 2013.
Hello.
Have you checked the children?
A babysitter finds a VHS tape which features various sinister murders performed by a psychotic clown. And this is where we get our first introduction to Art the Clown. And if you've seen Terrifier, you probably know exactly who Art the Clown is. We're going to break this down segment by segment because Terrifier is oh my gosh, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm probably more than likely going to be covering Terrifier when it gets to horror. We're doing disturbing horror movie month. So I feel like Terrifier would fit right in there. But let me just gather my thoughts. And All Hallows Eve is an anthology. It does have 3 segments and an overarching story. So we're going to kind of break the whole movie down by the plot and talk about, it's not necessarily, it is a babysitter movie because the overarching plot of the movie is about a babysitter, but the short films in which we get the best gore and the best like kill scenes are not about babysitters. So let's get right into All Hallows Eve from 2013. So we're going to start off with the overarching, like I said, the overarching story of the anthology, and then we'll go short by short. After a night of trick-or-treating, a babysitter named Sarah finds that the kids she's watching, Tia and Timmy, found an unmarked VHS tape in one of their bags. The children convince Sarah to watch the tape, which contains 3 stories starring Art the Clown. The first segment, we see a young woman named Casey who is drugged and kidnapped by Art while waiting for a train. She wakes up to find herself with 2 other women, Kristen and Sarah. Sarah is dragged away. The remaining 2 try to follow the chains to where they're tied to. When they find it, Casey attempts to break the chains with a rock, but she is disrupted by a deformed humanoid who dismembers Kristen with a cleaver. I would not ever want to encounter anybody with a cleaver. The humanoid frees Casey by severing the chains with the cleaver, but she soon finds herself tied down, surrounded by hooded figures. They removed a fetus from the womb of a restrained woman, and Casey is then raped by Satan. After the segment ends, Sarah sends the kids to bed, rightfully, and then goes ahead and continues watching the tape by herself. I mean, after, you know, you might think to send the kids to bed at the beginning of this. As soon as you see something, women chained up, you would think, hey, maybe it's time to go to bed. Moving on to the second segment, a woman named Caroline has moved into a new countryside home. At night, a bright object flashes and crashes near the house, and a power outage occurs. Caroline's phone and car start malfunctioning, and she suspects someone else is in the house. She receives a call from her husband, but the connection gets lost. He's also a painter. I'm going to say her husband is an artist. He is a painter. She discovers that she is being stalked by an alien, and after disorienting it, she hides under a staircase. Her phone rings and alerts to her location, and as she's being dragged off, she pulls a sheet off of one of her husband's paintings. It reveals an image of Art the Clown. That is probably the last thing you would want to see before being taken away by an alien. I mean, in my opinion. Finally, moving on to the last segment, and this is the strongest segment in the movie. This is where we get the most Art the Clown. This is what Terrifier was based on. A costume designer is driving down an isolated road. She stops at a gas station where the owner is kicking out Art the Clown after he has just pooped all over the customer bathroom. The gas station attendant goes to fill her tank, and while giving her instructions, he hears a noise and goes inside to investigate. When he doesn't return, the costume designer goes looking for him and finds Art hacking up his body. Awesome. She runs and Art follows, and he appears in the back of her car to smother her with cellophane wrap. She escapes and hides in a large shed. Art digs himself in, carrying a makeshift whip composed of various sharp objects, and slashes her up, but she stabs Art in the eye with a scalpel and in the back with a knife. She is picked up by a man who tries to take her to the police station, but Art follows them and shoots the man in the head. The car crashes into a tree. She regains consciousness but is on an operating table and finds Art has amputated her limbs, her boobies, and has carved misogynistic words into her body. And like I said, this is absolutely the strongest segment in the whole movie itself. So that's where that segment ends. And so those are 3 pretty wild segments, but now we're returning back to the actual babysitter named Sarah. Sarah turns off the TV after watching these horrific events happen, which she's probably just watched a snuff film at this point, and her phone starts to ring. It's the costume designer that we just saw in the 3rd segment screaming for help. The TV turns back on and shows a dingy room. Art approaches Sarah from the inside of the screen and begins pounding on the glass, and I think this is 100% the scariest part of the whole movie. Imagine watching a TV and seeing something that's so actually horrific, because a lot of people don't like clowns just standing there pounding at you knowing it's probably going to eventually, like, it knows you, it's coming for you. Sarah then sees herself on the TV and Art is now behind her. Like I said, absolutely horrific. She removes the tape and smashes it, which she should have done a long time ago, and she hears the kids scream and sees Art outside of their bedroom, covered in blood and laughing. Sarah enters the room to see the kids slaughtered and Art the Clown written in blood on the wall. So that wraps that whole movie up. That was just a very short synopsis, I guess. I tried to keep it short, and a little bit of a plot breakdown. But imagine in this case that you're a babysitter and one of the kids comes to you with a random tape they found that they were given while trick-or-treating, and you watch it and you are just watching people be murdered in various ways, and it's probably real in this situation. I think that is definitely, if I was still babysitting, which I'm not, thankfully, because I cannot be bothered, but that would definitely be a situation that I would never want to be in. And I've had kids bring me some pretty fucked up things. Like I said, if you guys want like a video of me talking about my experiences with babysitting, I would love to talk about all of that kind of maybe at the end of this week. But I enjoyed All Hallows Eve. I'm kind of not excited about watching part 2. Like, it was a good one-off anthology, and I don't think I would really want to revisit it after making this video. I am excited to revisit Terrifier, but this one, like I'll get into in a minute, it just kind of felt like something that was thrown together. So the shorts that we saw throughout this and the shorts that we saw throughout this anthology and the 3 segments, those are actually short films by the director Damien Leone, who just kind of finished these short films and didn't know what to do with it. So he threw them into All Hallows Eve, and then eventually we got Terrifier from this. And speaking of Terrifier, Art the Clown is played by 2 different people. In this movie, he was played by a different person, but we all know, if you guys are familiar in the horror community, we all know Art the Clown to be David Howard Thornton. So that is our Art the Clown. And you can definitely tell it does feel like a different Art in this movie. David Howard Thornton has a really specific way of carrying himself when he plays Art, and it feels a little more sinister and maniacal when you watch him play Art. And after this film, there is a post-credit scene which leads us into All Hallows Eve 2, where we do have a different killer. So I know I kind of breezed through that. It's kind of a longer synopsis with 3 segments being in this movie, but tomorrow we are talking about the House of the Devil from Ty West. I told you guys we're going to talk about a lot of Ty West in these videos here, but I don't really want to wait until, we might have to talk about X sooner, because I did go see X. Like I said in my last video, by the time you guys see these videos, I probably will have seen X, and we did, and I'm still having confused thoughts about it. So that's why I haven't made a video yet. But tomorrow, The House of the Devil, Ty West, highly recommend that one. we'll do a plot breakdown and kind of the whole babysitter thing and why it's scary. But yeah, this one is definitely scary because if you are babysitting a child and they present you with a snuff film, just burn the child, you know? No, I'm just kidding. That's horrific. Don't take me seriously. So that is all for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed. I will see you guys tomorrow for the House of the Devil and the day after for Emily, which is one that I'm still not sure of. So I will see you tomorrow. Sayonara, Spooky Fam.